Hello, you amazing friends. I am honored to be here with dating, singles, and relationship expert Cristina Davy. How are you today, Cristina Davy?
I'm fantastic and so excited to be here again. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I love our conversations.
Oh, I just love live streaming with you. And I've got my phone here. It says that I'm now live streaming with Cristina Davy. So if you just come in, smash that like, share, and comment, be it on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter X. And also, too, just so you know, please don't think I'm being rude. I have my phone with me to keep track of your comments. If you've got any questions or comments, pop them in the chat. We'd love to hear it. Now, Christina Davy and I go back many years. Hey, Selva Ganesh, we've got Selva with us. Big welcome. Feel free to say hello. I'll give you a shout out. Now, I've known Christina Davy for many years, dating and relationship expert and coach. She's even launched her own singles meetups. Christina, tell us everything about all the cool stuff you've been working on lately.
Oh, so much, seriously. So here's what happens. I meet a lot of single people, right? I meet single men and single women, and somehow they seem to not really find each other for
Mm.
whatever reason. So I thought, what about, creating this, meet up once a month where people who are into career, personal development, and, business, they can actually find each other and start mingling. Now, what I've noticed is that many people are doing the work, but they're not exposing themselves to the right environments, like a meetup for singles, for example, who everyone has kind of a similar focus or interest, or people don't expose themselves like a meetup like yours, the one that's coming up this Friday, where they can meet like-minded people. If I'm in a business and I'm goals orientated, and I want to achieve success, and what a better place to go and meet people than Edward's network
Yeah.
networking
Yeah.
business, which obviously you can start collaborations for your business, but also finding clients or start friendships, and why not relationships, right? So I thought I'll create one that's specifically for socializing. And what I've noticed as well, besides exposure, okay, many people don't understand that sometimes our internal world about ourselves, what we think about ourselves, it's actually kind of a reflection on the outside world. This is making sense?
So true. So true. Yeah, just
So,
jumping in there, right? I can answer that one now. So, and thank you for noticing before. I've lost a lot of weight lately. I've been fasting. This shirt did not fit me 2 months ago, right? So I've really been slimming down. And it's funny. The reason for that is that because my internal world feels better, I'm not eating as much. I'm slimming down. So it's so true. I find whenever our internal world is in turmoil, it takes everything around you falls apart. I get fat. That's what happens to me, right? But it's funny, you're so true. It's like when your internal world isn't right, everything just collapses around you. I've proven that recently, Christina Davy.
yeah, for sure. So if you're not feeling good enough, and like
Mm.
this weekend, for example, I work with a person, and in his situation, he didn't feel good enough for the girl that he wanted, right? And I
Yeah.
work with many women who feel they're not good enough for the men that they want, so they feel like they have to settle for something, whatever what comes at them, right? So you get to a point where your desire to connect with someone, the desire to feel love, to feel that special feeling, like taken care of, significant, it's that desire is so much stronger, and it makes us impatient, right? And especially if we don't have clarity about ourselves to really understand our needs and who can fulfill them and what needs to happen in order to do that, then we might go just based on the initial chemistry, those butterflies that we feel in our stomach, without really understanding that how we feel about ourselves is going to affect our choice of partner. So even if intellectually I want someone, and I'm telling myself, well, this is what I want. I want someone who's treating me a certain way, and I want someone who, um, uh, I don't know, makes a certain amount of money or has a certain status or background. I might pick someone completely different because unconsciously I'm still trying to resolve my childhood, wounds with my mom and my dad. So feeling not good enough could um, could really manifest in you feel not attracted, you feel there's something wrong with your weight. Yet you see people that are not the most attractive people in relationships and being quite happy, or you see people who are overweight and in relationships and feel quite happy, right? So what really is happening, why we actually don't seem to find the right partner for ourselves, it's sometimes simply because, well, we don't have the skills, we didn't have good role models, or how we feel about ourselves. It's turning into a bit of I want to prove. It's called confirmation bias. So if I believe I'm not good about myself, I'm
Yeah.
going to look for evidence constantly to prove that.
Yeah.
How crazy.
Yeah, and you are right. And I've seen so many people do this. Of course, I don't do this because I'm a wonderful lassie, of course. But I've seen so many people do this where you're so true, men and women, all sexualities, genders, and all that. They don't feel good about themselves, so therefore they get a low quality partner. And because they got a low quality partner, it then justifies why they shouldn't feel good about themselves. So one of my very good friends, not on LinkedIn, so please no one try and figure out who she is because you won't. But a very old friend of mine, she's with someone she doesn't want to be with, and this guy just cheats on her all the time and isn't very good. And I've said to her, look, you got to leave this character. And she won't do it because she's afraid of being alone. Whereas I'm like, and I'm sure you have this conversation 10 times a day, Christine, where it's like, hang on, leave this guy, work on yourself, then you can get someone better. That's what I'm sure you would say, right? Yeah, close to.
Yeah.
She won't do it. She won't do it. It's like, no, I love this guy. Oh, he's the best. Oh, and it's like, yeah. Eventually, they actually have broken up now. Having said that, but man, it's taken me a long time of poking in the ribs. What do you think of that situation? I know so many people who they're not happy with their partner, but they're just settling. Tell us a bit about that common problem we see, Christina.
Well, the fear of loneliness would kick in if I don't believe that I'm actually good enough to, find someone better. I will just decide to stay with this person no matter how bad it is. And sometimes people, especially if they come from a domestic violence background, or the standards were really low
This
as they
person
grew
does.
up.
This person does. Yeah.
It's thank
There you
you.
go. There you go.
Yeah.
You just answer. That's why Cristina Davy's the expert, everyone. That's why you should hire Cristina Davy. So carry on, Cristina. There you go.
Sometimes the standards are so low because our background when we grew up or our environment is low as well. And we don't really have, good good reference for what we should accept and what we shouldn't. So if I feel not good enough, I find someone, that's like showing interest, I might go with it, and then they don't show up in a way that I need them to show up in the interaction as we date. I might stay with them because I really don't have the expertise, the belief, the trust in myself to find someone else. And I will keep accepting things and it will become the norm. You don't even know how you used to be and what standards you used to have because you keep lowering your standards to make it happen, to make it to still, to you kind of change yourself, you molding yourself to fit the other person's needs. And you are actually becoming someone who you're not happy with, you don't even recognize, and you're not living according with your values, and therefore you become more and more unhappy and therefore sour in a relationship. You start resenting, and then you just, your fear of loneliness will prevent you from leaving the relationship, because if you think you're not good enough and you're going to have to let go of this person, then if I let go of this person, I'm not good enough. How am I going to find someone else to like me? And I don't even know how to have a healthy relationship. So you're doomed. Not really. but you gotta understand what's causing you to pick these people. I was having a conversation last night with someone else, and she's drawn towards men who need saving. Not that they really need
So she's
saving.
the. So what's it called? So the male version's called the White Knight. What's it called in women? It's I suppose it could be a White Knight. It's the white. No, it'd be the White Madame. There you go. The White Knight. There you go. The female version of the White Knight.
Yeah, and then there are a lot of great women or men who believe in themselves, who know their words, but they don't have the skills. Their communication, they don't understand the dating stages. This is massive. So many judgment are happening when we date, and most of the time the judgment that we have for ourselves it's what we project out there.
Or projection. Yeah, projection. Just on the note, if I can just jump in on projection. Now I'm just gonna, before anyone attacks me, you don't need to, because I'm just gonna attack myself here, right? I used to be, years ago, I used to be the worst projector, right? I'd always, more in my 20s and earlier, I wasn't a bad guy, but I always blamed people for my own problems, right? I had a lot of that projection. When in my late 20s, I realized I used to project a lot, and then I sort of dealt with it, right? So I can understand. And I find projection's the biggest issue. And just for the sake of the audience, and we love you, just smash that like, share, comment, by the way. Projection is when you're feeling something that's a problem with you, and then you blame other people for it. It's not all humans do it. It's like a psychological condition. And just jumping in, we got a great question from Joanna Lee. Joanna Lee, great seeing you. Joanna Lee's an amazing lady. We've got Michael Elborn too as well. Welcome, Michael Elborn. Now, Joanna Lee's got a question for Cristina Davy. Let's ask. Cristina Davy, does having standards have anything to do with what values you could bring to the relationship?
So having standards have anything to do with what values you could bring to the relationship?
Yeah. So I think what Joanna's asking, if I can paraphrase, I think what Joanna's asking, saying, does the standards you have, does that also influence what you bring to the relationship? That's what I think Joanna's asking.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, your values the value that you bring in a relationship is, if you have different standards than someone else in lifestyle, for example, right? You might not be a match, but if you have similar standards, then you will feel like you can do the same thing and achieve the same thing. But having high I'm not sure I'm understanding the question right. But having standards, everybody has standards. So it's not, nobody goes out there with no standards, so your standards will be a reflection of who you're choosing, right? But the value that you bring in a relationship, it's more about how can you fulfill the other person's needs in a relationship. Is this making sense? So okay, I can see the comment. She's saying, like, how I have standards versus being picky.
Yeah, so I was going to bring that up anyway. So Joanna Lee bet me to the punch, and Cristina Davis can bring up too. So common problem, I hear this more from women. I hear this all the time from women. Is, Ed, I have these standards. This is what people say to me all the time. Women say to me, Ed, I have these standards, but there's not many men available that meet my standards. So what do? Do I lower my standards? How do I solve that problem? Because I think a lot of women will take the lower standards path and then they're unhappy, or they just maintain their high standards and they miss out on having kids. And if that's important to them, it can be devastating.
So if I were to be in a session with a client and, that question will pop up, I will say, what specifically are the standards about? Because we have different standards for different things, right? Different standards for how we should dress, where we should go, what we should talk about. So it's not about being picky most of the time, I think, because we're not committed to seek to understand the other person. Okay, we're not actually committed to understand the other person. Therefore, we might judge them based on the fact that they show up in a t-shirt and jeans, for example, right? But that person might actually be really great, a great listener, like he could provide a safe space for you to express yourself. So for me, it's always about, are you feeling heard? Are you feeling seen? Are you feeling significant in that interaction? Are you feeling safe is very important for a woman. Okay. And that's primarily what's important. And then of course, like if feeling safe for you means that you have to have a certain lifestyle, which means that that man or woman has to have a certain income, then that's totally okay. I don't think anybody is picky. I don't
It's just
think
what you
any
want.
standards are picky. I think what's important to you, it's important to you for a reason. So there's no such thing of I'm too picky. There's more the willingness to provide, the time that it takes you to seek to understand the other person and get to know the other person rather than making a quick judgment based on a perception.
And just on that one, we've got our friend Latu Rosenberry with us. Latu's one of our Brisbane members. Great seeing you, Latu. Amazing lady. Latu's actually powerful lady, works as a nurse and also does a lot of modelling on the side. And Latu makes a great point, which I actually agree with, and I'd love to get your thoughts, Cristina Davy. Having a high standard is the same as being picky, and that's great as long as you can meet those expectations on the other side. I agree with that logic. What do you think, Cristina Davy?
Well, first I want to say hi, Latu, as well. Latu and I go way back, and we know each other quite
there you go.
well. I totally agree with what she says. One of the things that I'm asking my clients is like, are you what you're asking at all times? Because sometimes we have expectations, not standards, and there's a difference between standards and expectations.
Please tell us what's the difference between an expectation and a standard?
Well, for me, an expectation is like, I just think you should just do this and have this and all this, things all the time. You out there, right? A standard for me is like, well, this is a must for me. This is how should I explain it better? So a standard, it's something that if you can't do without, okay, and you live up to that standard as well. An expectation is like, I'm expecting you to do this and I don't have to do it. You just have to do it yourself, right? So
just to clarify, so that makes sense actually. So an expectation is, it doesn't necessarily apply to me, but my partner needs to do all these things. Whereas the standard is this is the both the same frame of reference we run to. Is that right? Am I understanding you correctly?
Yeah. So I'm expecting you to do all these things. This is what should happen.
Yeah.
But what is that based on?
Yeah.
It could be that you could have, for example, an expectation of the other person, that the other person should always be funny or should always be positive or should always be, but like, are you always positive? Are you always optimistic? Are you always funny? Are you what are you basing your expectation on? We have expectations of others to show up in a certain level, but if we look at ourselves, are there days when we are not? And if we are not, sometimes can the others not be as well?
And that's an interesting one. And I remember years ago, this is not one of my friends, but of a friend of a friend. I remember we got into a bit of a disagreement, right? And it was quite funny, actually. I ended up winning. You know how you have a conversation with someone that seems innocent and then it turns into a disagreement? Then everyone's watching you two debate, right? If it just becomes a debate out of nowhere, right? I remember years ago, this one friend of a friend was talking about basically how useless her boyfriend was and how he's fat and lazy and all that, right? I got it. She, however, didn't, I can't say too much because obviously I'm trying to be respectful on the live stream, but she wasn't exactly, she was I think she was projecting a little bit, because the thing is that I'm not saying that she was fat or lazy, but she visually could have met that perception as well, right? I think there's a little bit of projection there. And I kind of suggested to her saying, oh, that's interesting. I find, I remember I made an off the half comment that turned into a debate where I said, yeah, I find that actually sometimes people, they'll do what you're doing. You'll tell them to do something, they won't until you start doing it. And she just took it the wrong way, and she just sort of blew up. And a bit of a funny, I ended up winning the debate, which is quite funny, but it's sort of like, hang on, if you're calling your partner fat or lazy, you need to be motivated and not fat, for example. So I think, it's that classic projection where I see it all the time, where people will say, my partner needs to do this and this, or they're not doing that. But then the person making the accusation is guilty of the same crime. I see that all the time. What do you think of that one, Cristina Davy?
Yeah, certainly. We do project all the time. Things that we are not able to do become very important for the other person to give to us.
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm not making a certain amount of money, I want the other person to, or if I'm not. So going back to standards are a set of rules that are very important to me, or you, to me, right? And then this is the standard that I want to live my life at, right? So I need someone that can match that standard. Now, some people might not meet exactly that standard, but they might excel at other areas in their life that we're not necessarily that great at. Okay. So is it okay, for example, personal development? I hear this a lot, that women are doing all this work on themselves and men are not.
So men might, I hear that all the time. And I think that's a legit criticism. I think it's a very legit criticism. Yeah. Sorry, just to interrupt, Cristina, we've got a few fans with us. We've got the amazing 2 Din with us from Brisbane. Big wave to 2 Din. We love you, 2 Din. Everyone connect with 2 Din. Top finance expert from ANZ. We love you too, and appreciate you. And 2 and I are going to do a live stream soon, so looking forward to it too. And Latu also says, Cristina Davy is an incredible dating and relationship coach, highly recommended. XXX. Oh, there you go. So there you go. So Latu, we love you, and Latu's an amazing lady. We recommend you. And Latu also says, exactly, don't expect perfection. So sorry. So back to you on that one. Yeah, please carry on, Cristina. So I love your work.
So going back to the projection and standards, right? I think it's okay to. What's important really is to understand. The biggest thing is to understand your needs. What do I need this other person, man or woman, to do? Okay, in order for me to feel fulfilled in this relationship. And also being willing to not project your needs onto the other person, but rather find out from that person what are their needs. Because for the classic example is, what's important for a man is to feel accepted and appreciated, right, for who he is and what he does. Now for a woman, it's important to feel safe, okay, to feel safe and to feel understood, right? So 2 different needs, and I'm just generalizing a little bit. Obviously, individual is different, right? So if I don't understand my needs, and if I'm not courageous to express them either, the other person has no idea how to make me happy.
Yeah.
No idea how to make me happy. No idea how to make me feel safe. No idea how to hold space for me. So I need to master the courage to be able to be that vulnerable, to have that level of vulnerability, to share with the other person what I need from them. In every moment when I feel like they're not doing what I need, but not by criticizing and saying, oh, you're doing this thing again, like I told you already.
Yeah.
Right? But rather, what I need from you right now is, I need you to be fully present. I
Yeah.
need your support. I feel like I'm doing so much at the moment. And
Yeah.
sometimes our standards for cleanliness, let's just say in a house, some people clean the house a lot because they're getting a sense of worth from it.
Yeah.
Others, they don't care because they got other avenues to get their, feeling worthy, or they might just know they're worthy no matter what. So they don't need to clean the house to have that approval of others.
Yeah.
And then the person that really loves cleaning the house will pile up the chores. She has to constant do this and constant do that, and it gets extremely she gets extremely tired, or he gets extremely tired, because he has to meet these standards that he or she plays on himself. The house has to be spotless all the time. The other person is like, I don't care less. For me, it's important to I don't know, have sex with you all the time, connect with you that way, sit on the couch and kiss and mingle and all that. And that's what's important to me. And my love language is touch. Therefore, I feel loved by you when you touch me, not when I clean the house.
Yeah.
And then the other person that's with cleaning the house is like, she's into acts of service. So she feels love when there are acts of service involved. So if the guy is not doing anything for her, she's going to feel like, well, he's not really.
Now, just jumping in there, you bet me to it. I want to, and this is a great topic. You're talking about the love languages, right? Which is fantastic. Can you tell us very quickly, because I know we only got about 5 minutes left, tell us very quickly what the love languages are, because I think a lot of people will want to hear that. Go for it, Cristina.
Sure, I think everybody should know their love languages. And if you haven't done it, so please go online and type love languages quiz and do it right now. And if you are in a relationship, ask your partner to do it, and even your kids. Now, everybody feels love through these 5 love languages. However, 2 of them usually are more important than the others. So we have words of affirmations. Many people feel love through, hey, hearing all the time, you are amazing, you look so beautiful, that looks so great on you, wow, I love what you've done. And they feel appreciated, and they feel like their self-esteem gets boosted by that. And often it's because they haven't received it in the past, or they don't give that themselves enough.
Yeah.
Acts of service is like, I really feel love when you do things for me. You can tell me I'm beautiful 100 times a day, it doesn't matter.
But I'm definitely, acts of service is definitely in my love language. Acts of service, absolutely. That's me.
If my partner does something, and acts of service is mine as well, in touch. My partner washes
so I'm acts of service and touch. That's totally. Oh, there you go. So there you go. We run the same Windows-based processor, Cristina. That's good. Sorry, carry on.
And if you have a man or a woman, a third love language will be touch, right? So if someone feels love through touch, and you withhold love and touch, because especially as a woman, or even men, because you are upset with them.
Lassie's touching me.
I think she needs to bring you a cup of tea, because you said acts of service.
No. I usually make the tea, because I hide in the kitchen all day. So I'm going to say it's an old kitchen, but a really nice big kitchen. So I hide in the kitchen all day. So I'm the guy who makes all the tea. But just only because the kettle's a few meters that way.
Is it acts of service her love language?
Actually, Lassie, what's your love language? Well, only about 1,000 people are going to hear this. Yeah, I'm guessing, and we get in a lot of trouble for this, but I would say, so I think Lassie's definitely acts of service, and I would say affirmation. That would be my guess. Of course, that's pending Lassie's discussion, but I would say I'm more touch. She would be affirmation, the actual words. That's I'm probably totally wrong, but that's my guess. Interesting.
It's good to do the test and find out. So other people are into gifts, so you can tell them 100,000 times a day, I love you, or bring them 10,000 cups of teas. They don't care. They just want, gifts. They measure your love to gifts. Nothing wrong about it. There's nothing. We should not judge it. Cooking dinner too
Oh
says
yeah, true.
that's acts
Cooking.
of service. That's acts
There
of
we go.
service.
There we go. All I can say to two is your husband is a lucky man. So there you go. Your husband's a lucky man to have you two. Sorry, please carry on. There you go.
That's okay. I'm just trying to remember if I mentioned them all. So acts of service, touch, gifts, words of affirmation. I'm missing one.
Obviously, the one you're missing, no one cares. In fact, hang on a second. Fine. Obviously, it's the minor one that no one cares about. Actually, you got the test up. You know what? We should do a live stream just on love languages. There we
Quality time. Here we go.
There
Quality
you go.
time.
There you go. There you go.
So now you can give me everything, do everything, say everything, but if you're not spending quality time with me, I'm just not going to give you what you want. I'm going to shut
That's
up.
my daughter's love language is time. I would say time and touch. She's like, Daddy, don't go. Daddy, carry me. So she's definitely touching. It's funny that actually. I like how you said do it on your children as well because because our daughter, she is totally, it's funny. I'm loving this. We're going to run out of time shortly, but I reckon we should come back and do a live stream just on the love languages, which I think is fascinating. So,
I agree that we should totally do it. And it's funny because it's been around for so long and many people are still not really quite aware of it. But I want to go back to, if I may, just to the word being worthy. Although, should we do another interview and talk about, what happens when we're unworthy of love? Because that's a whole thing in itself.
I got two added to that point. She goes, "No, Edward." I'm just paraphrasing. "No, Edward. To clarify, he has to cook dinner for me." Yes, lucky him. Well, he's lucky he gets to cook for an amazing and powerful lady, and like you two. There you go. So there you go. That's cool.
I thought that's what it was. That's what she meant too.
Oh, sorry. Not as in she cooks for him, he cooks for her. Got it. I get it. So it's it's the husband's acts of service by cooking. There you go. See, we're going to do a lot. I don't even get this topic, so we need to do a live stream on it, Cristina Davy. I'm even screwing it up. So there you go.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to ask, I don't know if it's possible, but I'm going to leave the links here. I'm starting a workshop. Is it okay with you?
Yeah, please share the links. And just on that one, friends, so with the links, you should see them in the chat. But if any of you want the links, just connect with Cristina on LinkedIn, send her a message. She can message you directly. Cristina, try sharing the links. It doesn't always work, but please give it a shot.
I put them on the private chat and I'll add them afterwards as well. But I was going to say, I have an event it's exclusive for ladies. It's called Change Your Love Life Paradigm. And if you are someone who wants to really understand her love blocks, if you haven't found a partner up until now and you want to know more about yourself in the context of relationships, no matter how much work you have done before in other areas, please join me. We're starting tomorrow at 7 p.m., 1 hour a day. Where you can literally get to know yourself more in the context of relationships and how to date, how to get in a way that it will support you to find the right man for yourself. And if you're a single man or woman, I also have a meetup right after Edward's Zia meetup at a different location on Friday. This Friday, we're meeting at 5:30 at Pullman Hyde Park. So men and women who are into personal development and with a focus on, a career and business, please join us. You're going to meet some great people, have some high elevated discussions, conversations, and just possibly meet someone. You can go in Hyde Park for a walk.
There we go. There you go. Lovely romantic walk in Hyde Park after enjoying fine dining at the Pullman. So there you go, all that market. So I got to say it's a pleasure. And friends, I'll just, with those details, well, again, if you can't see the links, please just message myself or Cristina Davy directly and we'll get you the links. But just as an addition, so our next Sydney meetup is this Friday, 2:30 p.m. at Pullman Key Grant, whereas Cristina Davy's dating one is at Pullman Hyde Park. So a good 10-minute walk away. And and Din says to you, Cristina, that is great. I really love it. And we definitely have to do a live stream on the love languages. That's its own live stream. Now, Cristina, we're well over time, but I don't care because it's just been such a great discussion. can we get some closing thoughts from you, Cristina? And we'll finish up there with your amazing wisdom and insight.
I really want to actually offer a gift. Talking about gifts, to everyone that's listening, I would like to gift you 30 minutes with me to understand what's preventing you, from finding the right partner for yourself. So, I'm going to leave a link here, and anyone can actually book a time with me. But to conclude our conversation, really is you got to understand what's that one specific reason of why you haven't met the right partner. And it's not because all men are there or all women are there in a certain way. Okay. It's not really.
Yeah,
There's a lot of, I go to a lot of programs, seminars where there are a lot of single men and they are interpersonal development. And I meet a lot of men who are career driven or business driven, and vice versa with women as well. But it's more about what is it that you're projecting out there? Because every single person we meet, it's a projection of ourselves. And what you see in them, it's actually something, in your shadow that you're not really admitting for yourself. So this is a bit deep to live with.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, because, it's, and again, this building on what you're saying, I always say this, you always get back what you put out. If you put out sort of kindness, positive vibes, you get that back most of the time, right? If you're putting out sort of judgment and projection, you're just going to get, a truckload of judgment back on you. Especially judgment, I think, and I'm having a shot at everyone. I think when it all comes to dating, we can all be too judgmental. And remember, I always love the saying, when you point at someone, there's what? You said this to me, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. You told me that one, Cristina, and I love it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It is about, as I said, for me, one of my rules is like seek to understand. In a relationship with anyone, seek to understand, because if you are focusing just on what you are not receiving, you actually are not giving the other person what they need.
Yeah, it's incredible. And Tracy Regal would love the link. So what I'm going to do, friends, as a closing thought, once Cristina and I finish, I'm going to share the links in the chat. But if there's any problems, please message Cristina. Probably message Cristina directly and she'll get them to you. But Cristina, man, you've got a huge following. I think this, again, we've got to come back and do love languages. I think that'll be a hot topic.
Yeah, and we got to talk about, how unworthy of love it's affecting, the choice of a partner.
There we go. So, friends, stay tuned for more live streams. Cristina Davy, thank you so much. I know you're a busy lady. I just want to say we appreciate you big time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Love your work and chatting with you.
My pleasure. Love your work, everyone. Stay awesome.